Suara aku sama foto aku udah kedengeran. Video aku udah kelihatan. Sudah bisa, coba dicek deh. Linknya yang tadi aja. Coba suaranya aja kedengeran.
Belum, Bang.
Siapa bisa ya? Audionya udah bisa diterima sama peserta BTW. Audio gua kedengeran kan? Iya kan? Audio gua bisa kedengeran kan?
Kak Rara udah, Bang? Oh. Oh ya. Berarti nanti langsung.
Dari awal aja pakai pembukaan aja nggak apa-apa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Perkenalkan, nama saya Ocha Tri Rosanti dari jurusan Farmasi Universitas Andalas angkatan 2017 dan sekarang saya menjabat sebagai tim staf ahli dari PSI ISMAFARSI 2018-2020. Nah, selamat malam semuanya. Nah, jadi pada kali ini kita akan mengadakan uji coba acara webinar dengan materi urgensi berkala ilmiah sebagai sarana pengembangan mahasiswa kesehatan Indonesia. Jadi sebelum saya menyampaikan CV materi, mari kita dengarkan dulu buka
Oke, pembukaan dari aku dulu ya.
Kedua dari
Cek suara aku udah kedengeran ya. Yang udah denger suara aku bisa kasih jempol aja di WhatsApp, grup WhatsApp. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam, salam mahasiswa. Segala puji bagi Allah Subhanahu wa taala ya Tuhan. Online ini adalah program kerja yang baru-baru ini digencarkan di beberapa organisasi semacamnya dan instansi perusahaan lainnya di dunia ini dalam upaya untuk membawa diskusi tatap muka ke masa tanpa perlunya ada permasalahan biaya atau logistik. Tidak lagi menjaga jarak materi dan penonton pada masa ini, harusnya masa langsung bisa berinteraksi dengan penggunaan platform-platform seperti live stream, webcam yang memungkinkan berjalannya webinar ini. Di kalangan mahasiswa farmasi Indonesia sendiri, ide ini baru tercetuskan di kepengurusan yang sebelumnya dan difasilitasi oleh teman-teman kami yang di sister organization berskala internasional. Upaya kami setengah tahun terakhir ini dalam mencoba beberapa aplikasi, menghubungi materi, dan berbagai uji coba yang telah diuji sama seperti malam ini berbuah akhirnya untuk mengadakan sebuah webinar berskala internasional dan nasional untuk yang bisa menjadi kebanggaan untuk mahasiswa farmasi dan kesehatan sendiri. Dan saya berharap teman-teman dapat menikmati percakapan kami hari ini dan semoga yang didapatkan berguna bagi kita semua mahasiswa farmasi.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada SA-PSE kita telah menyampaikan sepatah katanya. Nah, selanjutnya kita lanjutkan pada pembacaan CV. Pada kali ini, pada acara webinar ini kita kedatangan 3 pemateri. Yang pertama ada Kak Rizky Clarinta Putri, biasa dipanggil Kak Rara, dari Universitas Indonesia, jurusan Farmasi angkatan 2016. Dan sekarang menjabat sebagai Pimpinan Umum Berkala 2018-20. Dan juga ada kedatangan materi dari jurusan Ilmiah Masyarakat Win Syarif Hidayatullah, namanya Kak Eva Dwiyanti Lestari, biasa dipanggil Kak Eva, dan sekarang menjabat sebagai Pimpinan Dewan Redaksi BIMKMI Berkala Ilmiah Mahasiswa Kesehatan tahun 2019. Dan satu lagi materi kita ada Kak Erlingga Prihandani dari yang sekarang menjabat sebagai Pimpinan Umum BIMGI tahun 2018-2019. Nah, untuk mekanisme webinar kita pada kali ini, saya akan membacakan beberapa pertanyaan dan kemudian para pemateri menjawabnya secara bergantian. Baiklah, langsung saja kita mulai. Pertanyaan pertama, yaitu dalam lingkungan akademik yang sudah mencukupi mahasiswa dengan berbagai macam event terkait penulisan karya tulis ilmiah seperti lomba, call for paper, seminar keprofesian. Nah, namun kenapa saat ini publikasi resmi dalam bentuk berkala ilmiah masih tetap prioritas dari komunitas mahasiswa kesehatan? Nah, mungkin dari pemateri bisa langsung menjawab.
Ya, tes. Kedengeran kah?
Udah.
Ya, udah. Kak Erlangga dulu atau gimana nih, Kak?
Kak Eva duluan aja.
Terserah sih, aku udah
Yang pertanyaan yang pertama ya, Kak ya. Apa bedanya? Kak, kedengeran nggak Kak suaranya?
Kedengeran, Kak.
kedengeran.
Oke. Ya, di sini bedanya berkala ilmiah sama literasi lain kayak cover paper atau seminar ya kak. Mungkin gini kali ya kak, kalau di BIMKMI itu kan wadah untuk mahasiswa kesehatan masyarakat. Jadi di sini tuh tempatnya kayak minat-minat bakat atau apa ya, kepenulisan dari mahasiswa kesehatan masyarakat itu ditampung di BIMKMI. Jadi BIMKMI itu bisa diibaratkan seperti wadahnya Kesmas. Mungkin kalau untuk lomba-lomba seperti call for paper atau ikut-ikut seminar, itu kan hanya untuk minat aja ya kak. Maksudnya nggak ada koreksi gimana cara penulisannya. Nah untuk keunggulan dari literasi BIMKMI ini, di sini kita nggak hanya menyalurkan minat bakat menulis aja kak, tapi di sini juga kita bisa koreksi gitu, dikoreksi cara penulisannya, baik dari Dewan redaksinya, baik dari mitra bestari di setiap fakultas dan universitas. Jadi kita juga bisa tahu mana penulisan yang benar, mana penulisan yang salah. Jadi mungkin mahasiswa juga bisa lebih baik dalam menulis gitu. Makanya penting banget adanya literasi ilmiah ini gitu. Mungkin itu sih kak.
Lanjut kak Erlingga kak.
Kalau menurut saya pentingnya berkala ilmiah ini menjadi prioritas komunitas mahasiswa kesehatan itu yang pertama adalah berkala ilmiah itu sebagai sarana untuk menyalurkan apresiasi mahasiswa, ide maupun gagasan mereka dan untuk berkreativitas dalam tulisan yang nantinya bisa dijadikan kontribusi yang nyata bagi negeri gitu, seperti melihat permasalahan kesehatan yang ada saat sekarang ini. Seperti itu. Kalau untuk di BIMGI sendiri itu sekarang ini lebih berfokus kepada masalah stunting, di mana fokusnya itu ke daerah-daerah terpencil. Jadi di sini kalau berkala ilmiah itu, jadi mahasiswa itu bisa menulis apa data yang didapat di lapangan. Cukup.
Oke, makasih Kak. Nah, tadi Kak kan tentang dunia kepenulisan juga. Nah, apa ada gitu perbedaan kualitas dan kualitas dari kepenulisan masing-masing mahasiswa di jurusan Kakak? Nah, tentunya kalau mungkin ada bisa tolong disebutkan Kak. Nah, kemudian juga sudah beberapa produktifnya gitu mahasiswa kesehatan Indonesia berkontribusi dalam bentuk karya tulis menurut Kakak. Mungkin Kak Erlingga bisa duluan Kak.
Baiklah. Di sini kalau saya lihat sih mahasiswa itu masih kurang produktif ya dalam berkontribusi dalam menulis karya ilmiah karena pengaruh medsos juga, media sosial. Jadi mereka lebih aktif di media sosial daripada sering membaca-baca jurnal gitu. Kayaknya lebih malas, apalagi untuk menulis jurnal kan. Mungkin begitu.
Udah Kak. Kak Eva bisa lanjut Kak.
Bisa Kak ulangi Oke, di OCAP putus-putus ya suara ya. Kalau misalkan putus-putus dari OCAP mungkin bisa lewat apa? Yang kedua itu menurut kakak-kakak, jadi bagaimana kualitas dan kuantitas tulisan mahasiswa di masing-masing jurusan kesehatan kakak di Indonesia, di mahasiswa Kesehatan di Indonesia, di mahasiswa Farmasi Indonesia, dan di mahasiswa gizi Indonesia. Menurut kakak-kakak sudah seberapa produktif kah mahasiswa kesehatan Indonesia itu berkontribusi dalam bentuk karya tulis ilmiah? Apakah sudah cukup aktif atau masih kurang menurut kakak?
Ya.
Bisa dimulai di sini.
Tutup. Tutup. Tidak ada tukiak tadi. Tidak ada tukiak tadi. Ya.
Oh, oke. Coba tes lagi nih.
Ya, pertanyaannya apa, Kak?
Yang bagaimana menurut kakak-kakak kualitas dan kuantitas tulisan mahasiswa di masing-masing jurusan kesehatan ilmiah di pengalaman kakak sendiri?
Oh iya. Aku jawab ya ke satu materi kayak misalnya BIMGI kan difokusin ke stunting. Kalau di BIMKMI itu luas temanya, mau apa aja terserah gitu. Kalau dari kuantitas sama dari kualitas mahasiswanya, sebenarnya saya nggak bisa nilai ya Kak. Maksudnya belum bisa jawab juga gitu kualitas kuantitasnya bagus atau enggak. Tapi selama udah 7 tahun kita launching jurnal, alhamdulillah sih kualitas kuantitasnya kalau menurut saya pribadi dari artikel-artikel yang masuk itu udah luar biasa sih. Maksudnya udah ada niatan untuk nulis aja itu udah bagus. Tapi mungkin kalau dari mahasiswa sendiri minat bakatnya itu sebenarnya agak kurang ya Kak kalau dari kepenulisan gitu. Jadi mungkin gitu aja sih Kak. Mungkin kalau dari jurnal-jurnal yang masuk di BIMKMI sih menurut kami udah cukup bagus kualitas sama kuantitasnya.
Kalau di BIMFI di farmasi itu kira-kira bagaimana? Atau di gizi?
Maaf, boleh diulang pertanyaannya?
Menurut kakak kualitas dan kuantitas tulisan mahasiswa di jurusan gizi dan farmasi ini, apakah itu sudah cukup? Apakah menurut kakak sudah produktif? Apakah sudah cukup berkualitas tapi juga banyak juga kuantitas yang masuk di karya tulis ilmiah?
Kalau untuk kualitas
Atau mungkin bisa Kak Erlingga dulu.
kuantitasnya sendiri juga sudah. Kalau untuk secara menyeluruh, mungkin kita bisa melihat si farmasi lainnya di Arjuna ataupun di website Sinta. Di situ bisa dilihat bagaimana publikasi naskah. Jadi di situ bisa terlihat. Halo?
Iya, kedengeran. Kalau menurut Kak Erlingga gimana?
Ya.
Tentang pertanyaan tadi
Mm-hmm.
apa sudah mencukupi lagi untuk mahasiswa gizi atau sudah produktif kan menurut kakak atau?
Menurut aku sih belum produktif ya, seperti yang dikatakan tadi. Mahasiswa sekarang lebih banyak aktifnya bermain media sosial daripada membaca, apalagi membaca jurnal-jurnal itu mungkin malas gitu kan. Apalagi untuk menulisnya menjadi karya tulis ilmiah, mungkin itu masih sangat minim untuk sekarang ini. Mungkin gitu sih.
Mungkin kakak bisa memberikan perkenalan pendek aja terkait berkala ilmiah kakak masing-masing. Terus apa saja yang udah dicapai dengan berkala ilmiah kakak-kakak dan selama kepengurusan ini dan sebelumnya gitu. Mungkin bisa jadi ajang promosi juga buat mahasiswa farmasi yang lainnya juga kan. Dari Kak Erlingga bisa?
Halo Kak,
Oh iya, kedengeran.
dengerin Kak.
Iya, kalau dari kakak mungkin kakak bisa memperkenalkan dulu berkala ilmiah kakak-kakak dan apa aja yang udah dicapai dengan setiap berkala ilmiah selama kepengurusan ini dan yang kepengurusan sebelumnya. Jadi mungkin sekilas balik beberapa tahun ini. Dari Kak Erlingga dulu mungkin atau Kak Eva ada yang mau menjawab?
Baiklah, mungkin dari aku dulu ya.
Iya.
Nah, dari aku dulu kan di BIMGI. BIMGI itu Berkala Ilmiah Mahasiswa Gizi Indonesia, yang mana BSO dari Ilmagi. Karena BIMKes kan udah lama nggak aktif ya, jadi sekarang di bawah naungan Ilmagi. Untuk selama kepengurusan ini kita itu mengadakan mini artikel yang diterbitkan setiap bulannya. Jadi di mini artikel itu dapat memberikan informasi tentang permasalahan gizi terbaru dan info kesehatan terbaru. Dan untuk sekarang ini periode sekarang belum ada launching jurnal dikarenakan ada beberapa jurnal yang kurang untuk periode ini, dan mungkin juga akan ganti kepengurusan yang baru pada tahun 2019 ini. Mungkin begitu sih.
Kalau untuk dari BIMKMI sendiri Kak, itu kan berkala ilmiah mahasiswa kesehatan masyarakat Indonesia. Jadi dari BIMKMI sendiri ini kita udah ada BIMKMI sendiri, kita dalam 1 tahun kepengurusan itu kita 2 kali launching jurnal. Nah, untuk yang pertama ini call for paper volume 7 nomor 1 itu insya Allah bakal udah mau terbit Kak. Jadi udah ada 7 artikel yang masuk, sudah direview, jadi tinggal launchingnya aja.
Dari kami.
Selain itu juga kita pernah berhasil dipublikasikan sebagai Innovation of Education pada Pharmacy Education Newsletter ataupun PEN yang punya NPSF, dan pernah menjadi role model Future Magazine 2013 sebagai berkala ilmiah. Nah, dan di tahun ini salah satu capaian luar biasa adalah kami akan mulai menerapkan yang namanya Open Journal System, di mana Open Journal System itu merupakan masuk ke dalam salah satu persyaratan dalam akreditasi berkala ilmiah. Dan di sini kami BIMFI kepengurusan ini akan berusaha seupaya kami semaksimal mungkin untuk mulai menerapkan Open Journal System yang insya Allah akan dimulai di tahun berikutnya, yaitu tahun 2020. Dan untuk call for paper sendiri, kami sudah mendapatkan lumayan banyak naskah, dan Juli ini kami akan terbit volume 6 nomor 1, dan juga saat ini kami sedang mengadakan BIMFI Writing Competition. Jadi buat teman-teman mahasiswa farmasi yang suka nulis artikel kesehatan, bisa sekali untuk mengikuti BIMFI Writing Competition. Ini hanya sampai tanggal 30 Juli. Ya, jadi promo. Terima kasih.
Oh, udah Kak.
Ya, silakan
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada Pak Materi. Nah, tadi berhubung juga sudah membahas tentang berbagai pencapaian di berkala ilmiah masing-masing jurusan. Nah, jadi setelah nanti diterbitkan, nah misalkan ada output dari si penulis Kak. Nah, jadi dari berkala ilmiah Kakak sendiri apa ada berniat untuk membantu mereka untuk mewujudkan output atau membantu mereka dalam menjalankan apa yang telah mereka rintis gitu Kak?
Bisa dari Kak Eva dulu atau Kak Erlingga?
Kak menjawab terlebih dulu. Halo?
Iya, kedengeran kok Kak.
Bisa dengar, Kak?
Bisa Kak.
Bisa. Nah, di sini tentu saja kita sebagai penyalur untuk menyalurkan, kayak maksudnya itu kita sebagai di sini BIMGI gitu kan, bisa menjadi role model untuk mengapresiasi semangat mahasiswa tersebut, dan kita juga harus berpartisipasi dalam membantu mereka untuk mengaplikan karya-karya yang mereka buat, dan juga membantu apa kendala yang mereka dapatkan ketika membuat karya tulis tersebut. Mungkin begitu.
Ya Kak. Kak Erlingga mungkin bisa jawab Kak.
Sudah dijawab, bisa dengar.
Kak F.
Iya, Ocha.
Kak Eva.
Ya.
Bisa Kak? Kak Eva.
Iya, ini pertanyaannya. Ocha bisa diulang nggak pertanyaannya, Cak?
Kan tadi sudah Kakak sampaikan berbagai pencapaian dari masing-masing berkala. Nah, nanti kan tentunya ada output dari tulisan yang mereka buat. Nah, mungkin dari berkala Kakak sendiri, apa ada berencana untuk mengaplikasikan karya-karya dari mereka itu Kak, atau bisa mungkin Kakak ada berencana untuk membantu untuk mengaplikasikan karya atau output dari karya yang mereka rintis gitu Kak?
Ya.
Bisa kedengaran Kak?
Iya. Mungkin Ocha kalau di BIMKMI sendiri, output dari karya-karya mereka itu nanti akan dibukukan gitu, Cak, kayak dibuat jurnal. Nah, jurnalnya itu udah berstandar ESSN. Nah, untuk outputnya juga, setiap orang yang publish ke jurnal BIMKMI itu dapat sertifikat, Cak. Kalau untuk mengaplikasikan dari karya-karya ilmiah yang udah mereka buat, mungkin kalau dari BIMKMI sendiri baru sampai situ sih Cak, baru sampai mempublikasikannya, terus dibuat launching jurnalnya, dan udah berstandar juga, udah ada sertifikatnya, baru sampai situ sih kalau BIMKMI sendiri Cak.
Ya Kak, kasih ya Kak. Nah selanjutnya Kak Rara bisa dijawab Kak. Kak Rara.
Oke. Halo?
Ya Kak, dengar kok Kak.
Halo, oke. Halo.
Ya Kak, lanjut aja Kak.
Oke, jadi tadi pertanyaannya bagaimana outputnya, apakah kami dari Berkala Ilmiah akan membantu mengaplikasikan karya yang telah dibuat oleh mahasiswa, kayaknya pertanyaannya. Kalau ditanya apakah ada rencana, pasti ada rencana. Nah, untuk itu, apakah sudah membantu? Untuk sejauh ini ya sama seperti Berkala Ilmiah yang lain, kami masih sebatas mempublikasikan. Kalau untuk bagaimana rencana untuk membantunya, mungkin kami bisa mulai membantu untuk mempublikasikan ataupun memberikan informasi terkait hibah-hibah penelitian yang ada di Indonesia. Seperti kita tahu kan, pemerintah sering mengadakan hibah untuk penelitian. Mungkin ide-ide yang sudah masuk ke jurnal BIMFI itu bisa kami beritahukan jika ada hibah-hibah seperti itu. Nah, selain itu juga untuk lebih aplikasinya gimana, fixnya bagaimana, mungkin bisa langsung ditanyakan ke organisasi kemahasiswaan, organisasi kemahasiswaannya. Gimana Ki? Semua farsi. Gading bercanda. Oke, lanjut. Terima kasih. Silakan.
Terima kasih Kak. Baik Kak, kita lanjut pertanyaan selanjutnya. Nah, kemarin kan Dikti baru saja belakangan ini kan tentang keputusan Dikti Kak yang mewajibkan mahasiswa S1 untuk publikasi jurnalnya sesuai dengan ketentuan itu Kak. Harus publikasi ilmiah kan Kak untuk S1. Nah, sedangkan untuk S2 kita kan S2 tuh harus wajib publikasi jurnal ilmiah seperti untuk jurnal nasional. Sedangkan untuk S3-nya untuk jurnal seperti jurnal internasional itu kita harus publikasi untuk S3-nya. Nah, menurut Kakak untuk S1 sendiri apa di jurusan Kakak itu udah terlaksana atau masih belum gitu Kak? Bagaimana perkembangannya saat ini? Mungkin bisa tolong Kakak jelaskan Kak. Ya, mungkin dari Kak Rara aja dulu Kak.
Oke. Tanggapan saya mengenai kebijakan untuk wajib publikasi. Kalau saya mau menanggapi dulu yang pertama yang untuk internasional. Kalau saya tidak salah membaca berita, jadi itu tidak wajib untuk yang internasional misalnya Scopus, tapi asalkan dipublikasikan ke jurnal-jurnal ilmiah yang sudah terakreditasi di Sinta ataupun di Arjuna dan sudah punya ISSN maupun sudah punya DOIG itu juga diperbolehkan kalau dari berita yang saya baca. Jadi tidak mesti internasional sekelas Scopus karena memang cukup sulit ya untuk bisa diterbitkan jurnal ke sana. Terus kalau yang untuk mahasiswa S1 sendiri ya saya sangat setuju adanya kebijakan tersebut. Mungkin itu dari saya. Ya, kembali ke Ocha, silakan.
Di universitas yang lain, kalau di BIN sendiri emang udah wajib untuk S1-nya nge-publish jurnal sebelum lulus. Menurut aku itu bagus sih, karena kita tahu minat dari mahasiswa untuk nulis kepenulisan kayak baik artikel atau jurnal atau penelitian itu masih kurang. Nah, dengan adanya kayak dari Dikti itu kayak buat mahasiswanya itu kayak punya amanah ya satu kewajiban yang emang harus dilaksanain gitu. Jadi menurut aku menambah minat dari mahasiswa sendiri untuk rajin nulis gitu. Seenggaknya pernah dia satu karya bisa dipublish sama dia gitu, walaupun hanya satu. Bagus sih menurut aku. Mungkin itu aja, Ocha.
Kak Erlingga bisa jawab, Kak? Oh iya, Kak.
Baiklah, mungkin untuk terkait rekomendasi dari Dikti bagi mahasiswa S1 untuk mempublikasikan karya ilmiahnya itu, kalau di kampus aku sendiri mungkin belum ada ya kebijakan seperti itu, belum diterapkan. Jadi untuk saat ini mahasiswa di kampus itu sendiri pun belum cukup mengenal lebih lanjut tentang karya tulis ilmiah. Cuman ada beberapa yang udah mengenal karya tulis ilmiah seperti ikut berkontribusi dalam PKM. Ya mungkin seperti itu.
Ya, Kak. Nah, Kak, juga mau nanya, Kak, kalau misalnya kita mau menurunkan karya ke berkala ilmiah gitu, Kak. Kalau di jurusan Kakak, karya dalam bentuk apa yang diterima gitu, Kak? Apa ada ketentuan dari karya-karyanya seperti apa gitu, Kak? Mungkin dari Kak Eva bisa jawab dulu, Kak.
Iya, mungkin kalau dari BIMKMI sendiri, Ocha itu udah ada struktur kepenulisannya gitu, Cak. Kayak syarat-syaratnya apa aja yang bisa dipublish di BIMKMI. Mungkin yang banyak dipublish itu kayak penelitian asli, systematic review, literatur review, meta-analisis. Jadi itu yang banyak dipublish atau yang bisa dipublish di BIMKMI itu mungkin lebih banyak penelitian asli sih, Cak. Hah?
Udah, Kak?
Ya. Kedengeran nggak, Cak?
Oh, cukup ya, Kak. Kedengeran nggak, Kak?
Ya. Mungkin itu aja sih, Cak.
Oh ya, Kak. Oke, Kak Rara. Oke, Kak Eva, makasih, Kak. Nah, selanjutnya Kak Rara bisa dijawab pertanyaannya, Kak.
Oke, jadi mungkin mau sedikit cerita dulu ya. Jadi farmasi, kesehatan masyarakat, kedokteran gigi, kedokteran, kebidanan, serta pokoknya ada 7 profesi kesehatan, itu semuanya bernaung dalam ruang lingkup yang namanya BIMKes, Berkala Ilmiah Kesehatan. Nah, jadi secara garis besar, di BIMKes itu, naskah-naskahnya, pokoknya semua yang berada di naungan BIMKes itu, baik naskahnya ataupun juga aturan-aturan publikasinya itu pasti sama secara garis besar. Nah, yang untuk disampaikan oleh kakak yang sebelumnya.
Cukup, Kak Rara. Kak Rara. Udah.
Halo. Naskah-naskah yang bisa dipublikasikan ataupun yang bisa disubmit ke BIMFI itu adalah artikel-artikel, baik artikel editorial ataupun artikel penyegar, terus juga bisa hasil literatur review, bisa juga hasil penelitian. Kalau untuk lebih lengkapnya, persyaratannya bisa nanti dilihat di persyaratan call for paper-nya. Ya, silakan Ocha.
Oh iya, Kak. Baik, terima kasih pada Kak Rara. Nah, selanjutnya pada Kak Erlingga. Silakan Kak dijawab pertanyaannya.
Ya, baiklah. Kalau untuk di BIMGI sendiri itu kan publikasinya tiap 6 bulan sekali, menggunakan sistem seleksi per review dan redaktur. Nah, naskah yang diterima oleh tim redaksi itu akan diseleksi dulu oleh reviewer. Kriteria artikel yang di BIMGI itu kita menerima kayak seperti penelitian asli, tinjauan pustaka, laporan kasus, artikel penyegar ilmu gizi, editorial, petunjuk praktis dan advertorial. Tetapi di sini kebanyakan yang ada submit ke BIMGI itu kebanyakan artikel, tinjauan pustaka, dan penelitian. Untuk kriteria penulisannya mungkin sama dengan yang lainnya, nggak ada bedanya. Baik, cukup.
Cukup, Kak. Baik, Kak. Nah, untuk pertanyaan selanjutnya, nah, menurut Kakak, apa sih 5 hal penting dalam kepenulisan itu yang menurut Kakak yang yang sudah luput itu, Kak, dari mahasiswa kesehatan? Untuk Kak Rara, bisa jawab pertanyaannya, Kak?
Sebutnya 5 hal penting dalam karya tulis yang menurut narasumber masih luput dari mahasiswa kesehatan. Hal penting yang pertama itu pasti untuk sumber pustaka ataupun sumber referensi. Terkadang masih ada juga mungkin sebagian mahasiswa yang masih belum tahu sumber-sumber referensi mana yang boleh dipakai dan mana yang tidak. Terus yang berikutnya, ini baru yang pertama ya. Terus yang kedua adalah bagaimana menulis citasi yang baik dan benar. Gak bisa dipungkirin, kadang masih ada juga yang sulit membedakan citasi ataupun gaya selingkung yang tepat yang harus digunakan pada saat menulis karya tulis. Terus yang kedua, yang luput itu adalah bagaimana menghindari yang namanya plagiarisme. Karena mungkin kita sudah melakukan citasi ataupun kita sudah mengutip, tapi ternyata yang kita kutip ataupun cara kita mencitasi itu mungkin kurang tepat, jadi masih bisa dibilang plagiarisme. Baru 3 ya. Terus yang pertama, yang sering kurang diperhatikan juga saat kita mensubmit karya tulis itu masih banyak typo ataupun kesalahan pengetikan, kesalahan pengejaan. Terus yang keberapa sih ini? Terus selanjutnya itu masih banyak yang belum menggunakan penulisan PWBI yang baik dan benar sih. Mungkin itu dari saya. Silakan Ocha.
Udah, Kak?
Ya, kembali ke Ocha.
Nah, ya, Kak. Oke, makasih Kak Rara. Nah, selanjutnya Kak Eva bisa dijawab pertanyaannya.
Ya, sudah. Silakan Ocha.
Iya, mungkin 5 hal yang luput dari penulis ya, Ocha. Kalau menurut aku sendiri sih, yang pertama itu kebermanfaatan dari penulisan tersebut ya, Ocha. Karena kan kita nulis atau kita buat karya ilmiah, otomatis kita ingin ada sesuatu yang bermanfaat untuk orang lain. Entah itu penelitian kita bisa dibaca oleh orang lain atau menjadi informasi sumber dari orang lain. Itu yang pertama tuh kebermanfaatan dari penulisan itu sendiri, itu tujuannya apa. Terus yang kedua itu dari pembaharuan dari penelitian. Kayak banyak yang meneliti tentang itu lagi atau mungkin jadi kurang pembaharuan dari penelitiannya. Mungkin yang kedua. Mungkin untuk yang ketiga itu banyak ada beberapa mungkin karena nggak tahu cara menulis atau gimana, mungkin dari kayak Karara yang tadi udah dibilang plagiat terus juga banyak kesalahan, kadang suka tipe-tipe, entah itu karena terburu-buru mensubmit atau kurang dikoreksi lagi, atau untuk yang terakhir dari estimasinya atau dari sumber-sumber yang dia cari kurang mungkin kalau dari beberapa yang submit ke BIMKMI ya. Cukup.
Udah, Kak?
Udah.
Oh ya, Kak. Lanjut ke Kak Erlingga, Kak.
Baiklah, mungkin 5 poin penting yang luput dari mahasiswa kesehatan dalam menulis karya ilmiah itu yang pertama adalah kurangnya survei lapangan. Jadi data yang didapat tuh terkadang tidak terlalu akurat dan tidak mereka banyak mengambil itu dari buku-buku dan kurang meninjau langsung bagaimana survei lapangannya itu. Dan yang kedua itu target pembaca. seharusnya kan target pembacanya tidak dari kalangan mahasiswa saja, bisa dari masyarakat, dosen, dan lain sebagainya. Dan yang ketiga itu ide dan gagasannya yang kurang. Jadi kayak sama dengan kayak yang keempat itu topiknya yang kurang, kayak topiknya itu aja dan tidak mengangkat topik yang terkini atau informasi terkini yang seharusnya bisa dijadikan sebagai bahan penelitian dan kepenulisan. Dan yang terakhir itu sama seperti cara menulisnya itu yang masih kurang dan terkadang masih berantakan seperti itu. Baik, cukup.
Enggak. Nah, selanjutnya untuk kita mulai diskusi, ini pertanyaan terakhir. Nah, menurut kakak, apa sih keuntungan masing-masing atau mengirimkan karyanya ke berkala ilmiah kakak masing-masing? Dari Kak Eva, bisa dijawab pertanyaan dulu, Kak.
Kenapa,
Kak Eva, Kak?
Maaf, putus-putus. Iya, kenapa, Cak?
Jadi gini, Kak, pertanyaannya, Kak. Menurut kakak, setelah mahasiswa jurusan kakak gitu mengirimkan karyanya ke berkala kakak, nah apa feedbacknya bagi mereka gitu, Kak?
Feedback buat mereka ya, Cak ya. Dari feedback untuk yang mengirimkan, Cak.
Iya, Kak.
Ya. Mungkin ya, kalau di BIMKMI sendiri, Cak. Jadi di sini kan kalau misalnya ada penulis yang mensubmit karyanya di BIMKMI, itu kita akan review dulu, Cak. Jadi mereka bisa mendapatkan hasil reviewan itu dari Dewan Redaksinya sama dari Mitra Lestari di setiap universitas. Nah, mungkin feedback yang mereka terima dari submitan yang udah dikasih ke BIMKMI, yang pertama itu hasil karya tulis yang mereka tulis itu bisa dikoreksi mana aja salahnya, di mana perbaikannya, di mana aja cara penulisan yang benar itu gimana. Mungkin feedbacknya dari karya tulis yang mereka tulis itu bisa tahu loh ini tuh udah sesuai sama kepenulisan atau belum. Terus apa aja salahnya, apa aja yang harus diperbaiki. Jadi feedbacknya itu ada hasil reviewan baik dari Dewan Redaksi sama Mitra Lestarinya, Cak. Kalau hasil reviewan dari Dewan Redaksi dan Mitra Lestari nanti dikasih lagi ke si penulisnya. Nah, dari si penulisnya ini nanti akan baru sama kita, kalau menurut kita udah layak, baru sama kita diterbitin di jurnal BIMKMI. Itu sih, Cak.
Cukup. Ya, Kak. Oke, Kak. Kak Erlingga bisa lanjut pertanyaannya, Kak?
Ya, untuk di BIMGI sendiri, keuntungan yang akan didapat oleh mahasiswa yang mengirimkan artikel ataupun berkala ilmiah, sejauh ini sih kita selalu memberikan sertifikat kepada penulis yang telah mengirimkan berkala ilmiahnya, dan juga setelah itu sama dengan Kak Eva tadi, itu kita juga akan review oleh mitra lestarinya, dan nanti bakalan diterbitin ke jurnal BIMGI. Mungkin sejauh itu cuman itu sih.
Oke, makasih Kak Erlingga. Nah, selanjutnya Kak Rara.
Mungkin untuk lebihnya itu sama seperti yang udah dipaparkan oleh Eva atau Ningga. Cuman mungkin aku mau nambahin satu lagi. Dengan kalian mempublikasikan karya tulis kalian ke berkala ilmiah, itu bisa membantu kalian, terutama kalian yang punya cita-cita ingin jadi mahasiswa berprestasi. Ini bisa membantu kalian, karena kalau kalian daftar mahasiswa berprestasi, itu bakal ada di formulirnya itu bakal ada kolom, yaitu publikasi kalian. Jadi dengan adanya kalian mempublikasikan karya tulis kalian ke Berkala Ilmiah, itu bakal juga menambah poin kalian yang ingin menjadi mahasiswa berprestasi. Itu mungkin tambahan sedikit dari saya.
Promosi soal mapres juga ya.
Masa ketawa.
Oke, terima kasih pada Kak Rara. Mungkin ini pertanyaan yang terakhir ya Kak. Satu lagi pertanyaan terakhir. Nah, dari Kakak sendiri, setelah menjabat mungkin udah beberapa bulan, ada juga udah dari diri Kakak sendiri. Nah, menurut Kakak, apa yang Kakak rasakan dan apa yang Kakak dapatkan setelah berkontribusi di berkala ilmiah masing-masing jurusan Kakak? Dari Kak Erlingga bisa dijawab dulu Kak.
Ya, Ucap, bisa ulangin pertanyaannya mana?
Ya, jadi gini Kak. Nah, kan Kakak udah berapa bulan nih Kak menjabat di BIMFI dan Kakak juga dan Kakak capek gitu di BIM selama berkontribusi di berkala ilmiah Kakak masing-masing. Bisa dengar Kak?
Dengar. Nah, baiklah, Cak. Di sini dari benefit yang didapatkan selama ini, istilahnya itu mengabdi ya di BIMGI. Itu adalah yang pertama, pelajaran yang paling penting, yaitu tanggung jawab, di mana tanggung jawab yang harus diselesaikan dengan bisa menerbitkan jurnal ilmiah. Seperti di BIMGI itu wajib menerbitkan jurnal ilmiah 6 bulan sekali dan dua jurnal gitu. Jadi selama 1 tahun itu seharusnya bisa menerbitkan 2 jurnal kan. Tetapi mungkin ada beberapa kendala juga di BIMGI, baru bisa menerbitkan 1 jurnal untuk periode ini, tapi itu pun masih kurang dan kita juga lagi mencari kekurangan jurnal-jurnal yang ada. Mungkin begitu sih, Cak.
Ya Kak. Oke Kak, makasih untuk jawaban-jawaban dari pertanyaan Kakak. Nah, apa ya Kak, sebelum kita tutup nih Kak, boleh sampaikan komitmennya untuk mahasiswa, untuk seluruh mahasiswa Indonesia supaya lebih giat lagi menulis Kak. Nah, mungkin closing statement-nya bisa dimulai dari Kak Rara dulu Kak. Kak Rara. Untuk Kak Rara bisa diberikan Kak closing statement dari webinar kita malam ini Kak. Kak Rara. Oke, mungkin ada kesalahan koneksi dari Kak, bisa diberikan Kak statement pada
Siapa, Cak?
Iya Kak, Kakak bisa
Eva.
berikan Kak closing statement-nya.
Closing statement ya.
Iya Kak.
Mungkin kalau dari sendiri buat mahasiswa baik kesehatan masyarakat atau farmasi atau gizi, tetap semangat dalam menebar kebermanfaatan, khususnya dalam bidang kepenulisan. Terus mencoba, terus menulis. Sama aku sih yakinnya kalau kita nulis, niat kita gimana penulisan kita itu bisa jadi amal jariah buat nanti kita ke depannya, satu ilmu kepada orang lain, dan insya Allah bisa amal jariah kita gak cuma di dunia tapi juga di akhirat.
Amin. Oke Kak Eva, terima kasih. Nah, selanjutnya pada Kak Erlingga, bisa disampaikan Kak closing statement-nya. Halo Kak Erlingga.
Ya, halo, Cak.
Ya Kak, bisa disampaikan Kak closing statement Pak acara webinar kita malam ini.
Untuk closing, baiklah mungkin dari BIMGI sendiri coba bisa memaparkan begitu ya, yang mana nanti BIMGI akan segera launching jurnal jurnal pertama pada periode 2018-2019. Nah, jadi kita dari BIMGI masih kekurangan artikel untuk diterbitkan. Mungkin ada yang berminat dan bisa mengirimkan artikelnya ke BIMGI, terutama terkait permasalahan gizi yang ada di Indonesia pada saat ini terutama. Dan untuk seluruh mahasiswa terus berkarya, bukan dari akademik, tetapi juga aktif di organisasi untuk menciptakan sebuah perubahan yang nyata. Karena sukses itu bukan soal IPK, tetapi juga soal skill. Mungkin seperti itu, Cak.
Oke Kak, terima kasih banyak pada pemateri kita yang sangat luar biasa pada acara webinar kali ini. Dan saya selaku moderator Ocha Trirosanti. Nah, mengucapkan terima kasih banyak juga pada peserta yang telah menyempatkan menonton acara webinar kita malam ini. Dan jangan lupa saksikan lagi acara webinar untuk hari Minggu besok.
Sesi kedua yang berikutnya.
Sesi kedua. Ya kan untuk materi pertama kita tutup.
Ya.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Selamat malam.
Jangan lupa ikut BIMFI Writing Competition.
Kak Rara promosi.
Mungkin Rara bisa share lagi gambarnya ke lewat Ocha atau lewat Dina ke grup WhatsApp yang sekarang gitu loh. Barangkali ada mahasiswa gitu ya yang kegerak gitu tiba-tiba hatinya. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? I can hear you. Are you not catching me?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello? No, I can't hear your voice. I can't hear your voice.
You can't hear my voice.
I can't hear yours.
Okay, hold on.
I think you're muting your speakers or your audio.
I'm not muting my speakers at all. Are you muting your video? Or test? Test, 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 test. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear the thud on the window? Okay, can you hear me now, Hassan? Can you hear me now, Islam?
Yeah, I can hear you now,
You can hear me now? Okay.
but I'm taking it from the live stream.
From the live stream or not from the live stream?
From the live stream.
Okay. That's better. So, by the way, I'm gonna cut between English or Indonesian once in a while just so that I can translate people's questions or your question if there's any, or whatever you're putting. And while you're explaining, I'm probably gonna type the translation, whatever I'm translating on the Google Doc. Is that all right for you? Baik teman-teman yang masih
Yeah, it's alright, but okay, so I should continue my presentation, and then you will deal with this stuff, right?
Yeah. I'll just introduce you. I'll give some opening questions, and then you'll present everything, hopefully in time, and then we'll go to question discussions if any is available. Okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Baik teman-teman yang mengikuti, saya akan bertukar-tukar bercakap di bahasa Indonesia kadang kepada teman-teman atau bercakap di bahasa Inggris dengan teman kita Islam di sini untuk membahas materi yang akan dibahas saat ini. Saya bacakan dulu saja, saya perkenalkan dulu saja pembicara kita hari ini. CV. Okay. Just keep it on the presentation. Someone wants to see your face, so Oh, actually, if you want like a fun fact, the girl talking to you now, she's also like someone who's like among the
Yeah, sure.
among the prestigious students, like Mahasiswa berprestasi, that's how we call it. And I just remember that you're also one of those prestigious students, judging from your CV. So yeah, I mean, just a fun fact that prestige and everything comes around. Baik teman-teman, jadi pembicara kita di sini nama panjangnya Islam Hasan. Is that your full name?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ya. Islam Hasanin.
Yeah, I'm very delighted to be with you today.
Iya, dan dia baru belakangan ini lulus dengan gelar Bachelor of Pharmacy di Clinical Pharmacy lewat Alexandria University. Actually, you've just recently graduated from Alexandria University, yeah? Like about a week, if I'm not wrong, about a week ago. So we were unsure whether you're going to put your B Pharm there or not, right? But now that it's all
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
And
Yeah, like about a week and a half.
And let me tell you, this man is very impressive. Dan teman-teman, teman kita di sini memiliki pengalaman dan pencapaian yang cukup bermakna juga. Dia lulus dengan GPA 3,79 dari Fakultas Farmasi tersebut dan memiliki berbagai skill lab dan skill bahasa, serta juga dia memiliki banyak pengalaman pekerjaan, work experience seperti research assistant at Cancer Nanotechnology Research Laboratory. Secara spesifiknya meliputi berbagai hal yang berkaitan dengan nanokarrier dan nanomaterial, semua pengaplikasian nanoteknologi di farmasi. Research assistant at Alexandria University Hospital di unit hemodialisis, dan berbagai pengalaman di clinical pharmacy dan community pharmacy. Adapun teman kita di sini hobinya juga music dan chess. I'm actually quite surprised that you quite have a background on clinical hospital pharmacy. Not expected from what you're actually interested to, more in the side of formulations and stuff. Maybe you can give a bit of a story about how did you choose this career pathway? How did you come around from a clinical pharmacy student and then you focus on things like formulations and nanotechnology? Maybe you can explain.
Yeah, sure. So first, excuse the sound delay. And concerning what you have asked about, how I'm coming from a clinical background.
Yeah, and how did you end up being a researcher specifically on formulations and nanotechnology from the background that you have currently?
So there's this weird sound delay, so when I'm hearing you from the live stream, I'm hearing my voice back while I'm talking, so this is confusing to me. So
or I can pass the audio, whatever I'm asking, via Facebook, I think.
Yeah, sure, that will be better. And I'm closing the live stream, okay?
Yeah, that's alright.
Yeah, so concerning my clinical background, our faculty of pharmacy basically have two main programs. In Alexandria, we have the general program. It's concerned more with pharmaceutics and formulations and stuff like that. We have another main branch. The other branch is concerned with clinical pharmacy, basically. So I joined the clinical pharmacy program, and that was like a field of study of that I joined. This field of study is concerned with hospital pharmacy, clinical pharmacy, and how to deal with the patients, how we are concerned with the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. We should combine all the drug features in favor of the patient. So this is the main line of my study, you know what I mean? So the thing is that we're not supposed to stick to one field. Like when you graduate from the clinical pharmacy in at our faculty, you're not supposed to stick to clinical pharmacy. Like you can try other things like community pharmacy, like clinical pharmacy, like industrial, maybe if you want to join a factory for a quality control lab or stuff like that. You can try everything you want. That is what I did. My passion is to continue as a researcher and as an academic. So that is the field that I chose for myself. And yeah, it was really rewarding for me up till now. I got my place in Cancer Nanotechnology Research Laboratory under my supervisor, Dr. Ahmed Zulabi. So it's a very good opportunity, and it's very rewarding indeed.
So maybe, I mean, after this, you can kick off to your. After this, you can kick off to your material. But first of all, maybe you can.
So please confirm if you were catching this up.
So maybe you can explain to us why is nanotech important in pharmacy, before you probably can head off to your presentation.
So can you explain to us why nanotech in pharmacy? Yeah, why nanotech in pharmacy? So this is like, you can explain why, like, nanotechnology is really interesting, and the thing that it's really different from the real world we're dealing with, because when you look at nanotechnology, you're downsizing everything to the nano size, and when you do that, you have a material with completely different properties that the starting material was. So, for example, if you have gold nanoparticles, that would give you a yellow color. If like the gold, you know, all of us know that it's yellow colored. So, if you downsized the gold particles into gold nanoparticles, that will give you a whole different color, and the properties of the material itself will change. So, concerning with the drug delivery, when you want, or when you have a poorly soluble drug, for example, and you want this poorly soluble drug to be delivered in systemic circulation, which is mainly composed of water, so it's hydrophilic. So you want to put this poorly water-soluble drug into the patient's circulations without causing major defects, or allow its circulation and distribution throughout the body. So you're downsizing this drug into nanocrystals, and this nanocrystals that we were going to discuss in our presentation, it has a very different properties than the starting material or the hydrophobic drug. The saturation, the dissolution velocity is much higher according to the Noyes-White-Nees equation. If, like pharmaceutics, you know, from pharmaceutics, Noyes-White-Nees equation is the equation governing the dissolution. So from Noyes-White-Nees equation, you will drive that when you use small when you downsize the material, you're having a larger surface area, and when you're having a larger surface area, your dissolution will be faster, and this will provide you with more of like higher saturation solubility, and therefore you can give this formulation to the patient in its systemic circulation, for example, and this will be like a successful formulation. If you can do this, you're transferring a totally poorly soluble drug that cannot be given intravenously to a drug that can be administered intravenously in its nanoform. So nanotechnology is very good at targeting mainly. Another thing you can formulate nanocarriers that can target specific tumors or specific sites in the body, and that will be great that you're canceling the off-target materials, the off-target distribution of the drug throughout the body. You're canceling this off-target distribution, achieving localized administration, and this will be very good. You're just negating the toxicities. So yeah, that's why nanotechnology in pharmacy. Can we start our presentation now? Sure, okay. So we can start our presentation, an introduction to nanotechnology. I'm getting my laser pointer here, yeah. So, an introduction to nanotechnology, first I would like to share my references. My references is Pierre and Rad's Pharmaceutics, Drug Delivery and Targeting Pharmaceutical Press, London, Chicago to 2010. And the review article I sent you prior to this webinar, the engineered nanoparticles for drug delivery in cancer therapy. I encourage, if you want to, maybe you can slide. Don't understand. So I just want, please, Mr. Ikram, if you can confirm that everything is going fine here, I can proceed now. If you see the presentation clearly. Do you see the presentation clearly? Can I start from here? Yeah, the black window, you want me to slide it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I slide it. Is that better? Okay. We can proceed now. So my references is Pierre and Rad's Pharmaceutics, Drug Delivery and Targeting, and the review article I shared before this webinar, the engineered nanoparticles for drug delivery in cancer therapy. I encourage you to read this review article because we'll give you more insightful information about nanotechnology and nanocarriers and how we can deliver our nanocarriers throughout the biological fluids and the body. So we can start now. Designing an effective nanocarrier. So first of all, we want to design an effective nanocarrier that can target the tumor, maybe, or a disease in question. We want to target it, and we want our nanocarrier to internalize itself in the, if we're generally speaking about tumors, we want our nanocarriers to be retained in the tumor, and we want to avoid off-target distribution. So we can achieve this by a certain like factors we have to take into consideration, and we have to fine-tune these nanoparticles so that it achieve our goal. So to design an effective nanocarriers, we have to go into general principles, because drug reaching systemic circulation show free distributions throughout the body, and however, like for example, chemotherapeutic agents show unfavorable toxicity profile due to off-target distribution, and we want to negate that. So we have to design our nanocarriers so that it targets specific organ. So targeting may be classified as external targeting, targeting external organs. If we want to target external organs, it can be achieved from an access to the organ from an external environment. And an example for that is eye drops, inhalation powders to the lungs, creams and ointments to the skin. Another targeting modality, if we want to target internal organs, for example, we can achieve that by local delivery. So local delivery is an access from maybe outside, from an external environment maybe, but we want to target the internal organ itself, maybe like the tumor. The tumor is located internally in the body. We want to get into that. So this can be achieved by direct injection, for example, intratumoral injection, or using an implant. An implant is like a wafer or a polymer that, for example, gliadol. We have here gliadol. It's a polymer wafer that can be placed after surgery, brain surgery, and this wafer releases a drug called carmustine. And carmustine is a cell cycle non-specific alkylating agent. It's an antineoplastic drug that used in the treatment of glioblastoma multiforme, and it's type of a brain tumor. So here is carmustine for local brain delivery. So we can achieve local delivery for internal organs by direct injection, intratumoral injection, or using an implant like a gliadol, or systemic delivery. Systemic delivery is administering the drug intravenously by giving an injection through the intravenous route. So the drug therefore must leave the systemic circulation and accumulate at the target site. And this is what we're focusing on today. We want our nanocarrier to leave the systemic circulation successfully and accumulate at the target site without further off-target distribution that we talked about later. And it exerts its action in our target site. This is the package label for gliadol wafer. It's a carmustine implant, as we see here. The main drug we're using is carmustine, and this wafer is placed at the site of the tumor, at the site where the tumor is removed from, and it's used for the treatment of brain tumors. So now we have to deal with some physiological and biological barriers to drug targeting. Now we have to deal with some physiological and biological barriers that may impede drug targeting. One way to deliver our nanocarriers, as we said before, is administering this nanocarrier through the IV route. And when you reach the systemic circulation, you may find the mononuclear phagocytic system, which is mainly phagocytes. And these phagocytes may also be located in the liver, the Kupffer cells, or the spleen, or the bone marrow. And this will engulf your nano material or your nano carrier. Another possibility is the recognition by opsonines, or recognition of the carriers, and therefore opsonization. And these opsonines are present in the systemic circulation, and an example for that is the IgG antibody. This IgG antibody, which binds to your nanocarriers, makes it easier for the phagocytes to know what's happening, what is this foreign body in. So you label it with this, and your body is labeling this nanocarrier with the antibody, and then it is better to engulf it it's easier and facilitates its engulfment with the mononuclear phagocytic system. We have to overcome these two systems first to ensure that our nanocarrier is circulating in a longer time, having a better T-half that we can rely on during our formulation. Another thing is escaping from systemic circulation, and here's where it comes interesting, because if we can see this figure here, we may see that this is a representation for various types of capillaries with respect to their endothelial lining, and we can see here that in this first figure we see that this lining of the capillary is continuous, and this continuous lining is basically there is no junctions here. These junctions are so tight, and they are either small or big, are bombarding back from the lining of the vessels, and this can't pass through outside the systemic circulation. Therefore, it would not achieve its targeting property, as we can see. Another type of capillaries are the fenestrated capillaries. Here we see that the junctions are wider, and therefore smaller particles can escape. And the sinusoidal capillaries, where it's found physiologically at the liver and the spleen, maybe pathologically due to an angiogenesis process in the tumor. So tumor wants to grow blood vessels, more blood vessels that can nourish the tumor and help it to grow. So these blood vessels are grown by a process called angiogenesis, where there is growth factors helping in its growth, like a vascular endothelial growth factor, and there's receptor that is expressed on these vessels that can prevent this angiogenesis process. Here we can see that in this blood vessel there is a receptor for the vascular endothelial growth factor. If we block that, we prevent the angiogenesis process, and which is the growth of blood vessels to nourish the tumor. So if we block that, there will be no nourishment to the tumor, and therefore the tumor will die. So one way to fight a tumor is by avoiding this angiogenesis process, and this can be achieved by the inhibition of the VEGF, or vascular endothelial growth factor receptor. This drug may be a monoclonal antibody, as bevacizumab. You may hear of it, and it's an inhibitor for the vascular endothelial growth factor receptor, and therefore it prevents the angiogenesis. So here, the sinusoidal capillaries have a much wider space that can allow our nanoparticles to escape. And here we can achieve our targeting passively through the endothelial lining gaps here that can escape to the tumor and exert its function. So to avoid, here we talked about the escape from the systemic circulation through the blood capillaries, but we didn't highlight how we can avoid opsonization and MPS recognition. So there are mainly three factors that we have to take into consideration to avoid opsonization and MPS recognition. First of all, the particle size. The particle size less than 100 nanometer is very quite unrecognizable by the MPS system, because as we see, the phagocytes can engulf a particle size around about 1 to 2 micron, or 1 to 2 micrometer. Okay. Another important factor that we have to take into consideration is the surface charge, and that's why we always, in the characterization of our nanoformulation, we will talk about this later in this presentation, why we are concerned with the surface charge. The surface charge, we can use a zeta potential as an indicator of the surface charge. Here it's written that nanoparticles that display neutral charge or neutral nanoparticles stays longer in the circulation. However, the positively charged particles that we don't want to be over positively charged are rapidly cleared by the MPS system. So positively charged particles are clearly here engulfed by the phagocytes. Okay, so neutral particles stays longer in the circulation. However, if you have neutral particles, this will lead to more aggregation in your formulation. This will your formulation, your nanoparticles itself, in vitro before it's injected into your patient, will aggregate, and its size will be larger. So we don't want our nanoparticles to be completely neutral. We want as a higher zeta potential to ensure that there is a repulsion forces between our nanoparticles, that these repulsion forces ensures that our nanoparticles are away from each other, avoid aggregation, and therefore more stable formulation. Another thing, the surface hydrophilicity. And this factor is really important because surface hydrophilicity is like, you can see our circulation is hydrophilic, and you want your nanocarriers to be like matching property to the systemic circulation. So the surface hydrophilicity is achieved by coating the nanocarriers with the hydrophilic material. These hydrophilic materials are like our hydrophilic polymers, for example, the PEG, polyethylene glycol. Okay, this polyethylene glycol makes our nanoparticle unrecognizable to the MPS system because it has the same properties as our circulation, or as our systemic circulation, our blood, which is hydrophilic. So you see, hydrophilic polymers make our particles more hydrophilic, and therefore it avoids recognition by its system. However, coating the nanoparticles with polyethylene glycol, for example, as we see here, that's a hydrophilic polymer. So coating this particle with a hydrophilic polymer does not always a good thing, because it may decrease the transfection ability of the, maybe we use the liposomes, so we're functionalizing these liposomes or coating these liposomes with hydrophilic polymer. It may decrease the transfection ability of the liposomes. It may result in an abrupt release, which is not expected. And when the nanoparticle reaches the systemic circulation, it will explode and release its drug before the time, and therefore we lose the probability of controlled release. Another thing is the decrease of the intracellular uptake, because the chains are maybe so big that it hinders the contact between the nanoparticles and the cell, and therefore it will not internalize into the cell cytoplasm. Another drawback is the size enlargement. We want our nanoparticles to be of a specific size to allow escape from systemic circulation or escape from blood vessels, as we mentioned before. So here, the size enlargement may hinder this passive targeting ability. Another major drawback is anti-PG antibodies. About 25% of your patient, if you're giving him a nanoparticle formulation that is coated with PEG, for example, it will lead into a release of anti-PGE antibody. This will cause anaphylaxis, and this is really not acceptable because it's dangerous. It may be fatal. Another drawback is it's non-biodegradable. So PEG is not biodegradable polymer. So this is not a good thing. You want your material to be degraded by your body and washed out after the administration. You don't want your nanomaterials to be accumulating in the body, and the body cannot get rid of it. This will be so unacceptable. So now we reached this point that we know the main properties we want in our nanocarriers. We want to internalize, or to make sure that our nanoparticles can be internalized in the cell. So this involves the active binding of our nanocarriers, or a receptor maybe, maybe a ligand that you decorate your nanomaterial, your nanoparticle with. This ligand has the ability to actively attach to a specific receptor found on the cell, and this specific receptor will help this nanoparticle to be internalized or endocytosed. This is the scientific term for this. It's to be endocytosed inside this cytoplasm. Here, it involves the active binding of a ligand to a membrane-bound receptors associated with the cytosolic fibrous protein clathrin. This is a receptor process called a receptor-mediated endocytosis. So, when we're generally speaking about endocytosis, there are three main types. The first type is the phagocytosis, and this is the engulfment of a solid particle into the the cytoplasm of the cell. Or biноcytosis, and this is the engulfment of an extracellular fluid into the cytoplasm. Or what we're talking about now, the receptor-mediated endocytosis. So the receptor-mediated endocytosis is achieved by a ligand decorated on the surface of a nanomaterial or nanocarrier we're in question, and the nanocarrier we are administering to the patient, and this will interact with a receptor directly, allowing a plasma membrane inwards and accepting this materials inside a vesicle. And this vesicle is stabilized by the red coated bits, and this red bits are called clathrin. So clathrin is a cytosolic fibrous protein which triggers the cytoplasm to be folded and stabilized into an endosome and fold inwards, forming a vesicle known as endosome. Okay, and subsequently this endosome fuses with an intracellular organelle. So intracellular organelles like lysosomes. Lysosomes are the organelles responsible for the digestion of the foreign materials coming from outside the cell and entering the cell through endocytosis. So lysosomes will help in the degradation of the materials inside by a drop in the pH and digestive enzymes and various enzymes. So our nanoparticles now engulfed into the cell, and it's trapped into this endosome, and we want our nanoparticles to escape from this endosome outside to the cytoplasm. How can we achieve this? Because if it's not outside, or if it didn't escape, your nanoparticle would be digested with a lysosome. So therefore, during safe, the lysosomal degradation should be achieved, and this can be implemented by several strategies. So, for example, the pore formation in the endosomal membrane, and this can be achieved by the cationic amphiphilic peptides. These cationic amphiphilic peptides have the ability to increase the internal tension of the membrane and causing its like pore formation, or the pore. We have two forces in balance in the endosome: the line tension, which brings the membrane together, and the internal tension, which enlarge the pores, so the membrane opens like this. So the cationic amphiphilic peptides has the ability to increase the internal membrane tension here. So increasing the membrane tension over the line tension will produce a pore in the endosome, and therefore our nanomaterials has the ability to escape. Another strategy is the pH buffering effect. The pH buffering effect, or also known as proton sponge effect. Proton sponge effect. Proton sponge effect is mediated by high buffering capacity materials that has the ability to swell when protonated. For example, the polycationic materials like polyethyleneamine or polyamidoamine. These are polycationic materials that can be protonated. Another material, the histidine-rich molecules. The histidine here, it has a imidazole ring, and an imidazole ring is a ring that has nitrogen in it, so it can be protonated. And this protonation causes a high inflow of ions and water into the endosome, because your protons are what's it called? Maybe you can describe it as deficient, or it's utilized in this protonation processes. So you have a deficiency in the protons inside the endosome. So this will allow or trigger a high inflow of ions and water, leading to the swelling of the endosome and subsequent rupture of the endosome, releasing its material outside into the cytoplasm. Another modality is the endosomal membrane fusion. So endosomal membrane fusion is achieved by materials that are similar in its composition as the endosome. For example, the liposomes. Liposomes are lipid bilayers, resembling in structure, resembling the endosome formation, which is a lipid bilayer, because it's all the same as the cell membrane. So lipid formulations like liposomes have the ability to fuse with like if we imagine that our endosome like this, and here our liposome, it has the ability to fuse with the membrane, releasing its material outside into the cytoplasm. So why we are describing all this, why we're studying all of these properties? Because we want to target the cytoplasmic organelles. And why? Because the pathogenesis of many diseases resides in the treatment of certain cytoplasmic components. For example, in the nucleus. Here we have gene therapy. Maybe our drug loaded into liposomes, maybe it's for gene therapy. So we wanted to target the nucleus or the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the center of the power for this for the cells, and the pathogenesis, any pathogenesis in mitochondria may cause diseases, for example, like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinsonism, epilepsy, or diabetes. So we want our nanomaterials to escape from the endosome and target our materials, our organelles in the cell. So targeting modalities of nanoparticles. We want our nanoparticles to target our disease. For example, here, generally speaking, about tumors. So we want our nanocarrier to target our tumor, for example. So this can be achieved by passive targeting or active targeting. So what is passive targeting? Passive targeting is to target your tissue or your disease without using a ligand or ligand receptor interaction. It's passively targeted because it can escape the endothelial lining, for example, the lining of the blood vessels, and can escape to the other compartment where your tissue you want to target is located. So targeting may be useful in the MPS. Like we said before, we want to evade the MPS system, but there are some cases that we want to target the MPS system. We want our nanocarriers to be engulfed by the MPS system, and it's really useful in treatment of conditions like visceral leishmaniasis. And as you know, leishmaniasis is a parasite, and it's causing a lot of manifestations, but mainly cutaneous, mucocutaneous, and visceral are the main types of leishmaniasis, and the visceral one is the really fatal, and it's really hard to treat condition. So the treatment of this is with a drug called amphotericin B. So amphotericin B is an antifungal agent, an antibiotic that can kill this parasite. However, this parasite is dormant in the MPS system, or the macrophages of the liver. So for the treatment involved the amphotericin B, we can load this drug, the amphotericin B, into liposomes, which therefore called ampisome. This is the formulation for the amphotericin B, or a liposomal anti-amphotericin B. It's called ampisome. So ampisome is a formulation of amphotericin B. It's a liposomal formulation. It's targeting liver macrophages here. Okay, so we can therefore treat this condition called visceral leishmaniasis. Another passive targeting modality is the enhanced permeability and retention effect. And to explain this more clearly, enhanced permeability means that, as we mentioned before, our vessels will be fenestrated because of the pathological condition called angiogenesis. So angiogenesis will leave fenestrations or gaps that allow our nanoparticles to escape from these gaps, and this is called enhanced permeability. Enhanced permeability by fenestrations of the blood vessels, and retention is due to the lack of lymphatic drainage or lymphatic vasculature, because angiogenesis is a really fast process. The tumor wants to grow its blood vessels really fast, that it neglects the formation of efficient lymphatic system, and this will lead to a lack efficient drainage. So our nanoparticles will not be cleared, and it can be returned, but it's not. It is not that it will not be cleared. It's like it will have a more residence in the tumor tissue, so that it will be like drainage will be too slow, and we will have a more retention, and this is really what we want to achieve, that our nanoparticles escape from the systemic circulation, reach the tumor specifically due to the utilization of the effect of the enhanced permeability, and then it's retained due to lack of lymphatic drainage. And this is really an important concept in passive targeting of the tumors. Enhanced permeability and retention effect, and it's used for delivery. Should be so our delivery system should be engineered to escape the MPS uptake to allow this enhanced permeability and retention effect. In this case, we don't want our nanoparticles to be involved by the MPS system, so we have to evade the MPS system now to achieve this modality. Here in this figure, I hope you see that. I hope you see it clearly, because we have a lot of figures today. In this figure, this is the tumor tissue, and this tumor tissue we see this is the blood vessel that is supporting the tumor tissue. This blood vessels, if you see that it has like tight junctions here, and tight maybe it's coming tight here too. But in the tumor, you may see that it has a lot of fenestrations or sinusoidal type capillaries. So it allows our delivery system, which is the nanoparticles you see here, it allows it to escape from the blood vessels into the tumor region. This is the tumor region. Your nanoparticles wants to escape from the systemic circulation into the tumor and avoid infiltration into normal tissue, to avoid off-target distribution, of course. And third, we by that we finished our passive targeting modality. We want to achieve here an active targeting, and this active targeting may be for cellular internalization. For example, we want to specifically target the tumor. So if your enhanced permeability and retention effect is not usable, maybe, or you want to specifically bind to certain tissue, you want to your nanoparticles to internalize into certain tissue, you're using active targeting modality, and this can be achieved by decorating your nanoparticles with targeting ligand. For example, here the folate. This is the folate here, in this arrows represents the folate or the folic acid molecules. It's conjugated or decorating the nanoparticles in question. For example, this is liposomal formulation holding the drug inside and bigylated. These chains are BEG chains, so it's bigylated nano carrier, and here is the functionalization with folate receptors. So this material or this folic acid will target certain receptors found on certain types of tumors, maybe ovarian, endometrial, colorectal, here ovarian, endometrial, colorectal cancer, breast cancer, and these cancers overexpress folate receptors, which can be utilized for targeting by folic acid or folate moiety, allowing cellular internalization or endocytosis, as we mentioned before, and subsequent release of the nanoparticle cargo in the cytoplasm. For a further explanation of the figure here, we have here, this is a polymeric micelle. So a polymeric micelle, we're going to explain this in the upcoming slides. This polymeric micelles here are really a really good delivery system because of its high loading capacity. Here, this folate conjugated, figure B is folate conjugated polylactic glycolic acid, PLGA, or polyglutamic acid, it's a BGA, polymeric micelles loaded with encapsulated doxorubicin. So this polymeric micelles here has a doxorubicin drug. Doxorubicin treatment of maybe breast cancer, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, as we mentioned before. And C is we have the RGD peptide, and this peptide is targeting integrins. Integrins is like we can consider it as a type of cell surface adhesions, and this also we can target this adhesions by or integrins by the RGD moiety, which can then internalize our nanoparticles into the cell. Okay. So here, this modality is called active targeting. Active targeting, we use a ligand which with a subsequent interaction with a receptor. Okay. Now we want to explain a stimuli-sensitive targeting or smart drug delivery system. And a smart drug delivery system has stealth properties during circulation. And when it reaches the circulation, it releases its drug or release its cargo by redox reaction, enzymatic activity, or something that is inherent in our disease. So maybe the tumor pH, we can, for example, tumor pH is acidic. We can imagine that when we deliver materials that are pH sensitive and it faces the drop in the pH in the tumor microenvironment, therefore can this bond can dissociate and the drug can be released into the tumor, or it can be achieved by applying an external stimuli, so that we can formulate our nanocarriers that when we apply certain stimulus, like for example the temperature, an ultrasound, maybe an electric or magnetic field, it dissociates, or the pressure or the temperature is increased, and therefore the materials will be released. Here, this is a schematic diagram for the nanocarriers. Different nanocarriers here, the liposomes, and the shape here, the surface and the size. We'll talk about this, and this is the table for the formulations that are approved in the market and those in clinical trials. Most of them are liposomes, as we can see. Here, if we want to talk about liposomes are lipid bilayer. It's composed of phospholipids. So phospholipids are composed of hydrophilic head or hydrophobic tail. And hydrophobic tail here arranged in this manner into a bilayer. And this bilayer here is the hydrophobic regions where it cannot hold hydrophobic drugs. And inside, it's the hydropolar heads are facing inward and outward. This inward environment is hydrophilic, which can hold hydrophilic drugs. Also, can be functionalized. So liposomes are easily functionalized and easily decorated with materials, targeting materials, for example. So a lipid like phosphatidylcholine, it's a phospholipid that we can use in the formulation of liposomes. So liposomes are really easy and to formulate. We can achieve this by, and this solvent, therefore, could be, this organic solvent is evaporated in a rotary evaporator under vacuum. We will have a dry film of the lipids on the walls of the container here, and the walls of the round bottom flask, and then we hydrate it with water containing the hydrophilic drug. After stirring, we will obtain a multi-lamellar vesicles by sonication extrusion or shear forces, this will lead to the formation of unilamellar vesicles, which is the liposomes we need. Here, this different types of liposomes. This multilamellar vesicles is very good for holding of a hydrophobic drug. Here, the vesicles, the small unilamellar vesicles, is very good for IV administration, and the large unilamellar vesicles with a large environment for hydrophilic drugs to be encapsulated. Advantages of liposomes: it resembles cell membrane. The structure and composition protect the entrapped drug from destructive action, change the biodistribution of the drug, and avoid off-target distribution, as we mentioned before. It's able to encapsulate both hydrophilic and hydrophobic drugs, and control the release rate of the entrapped drugs through modification of bilayer composition, naturally formed with non-toxic and non-immunogenic, natural and biodegradable amphiphilic molecules. This is the most important feature because it's biodegradable. As we mentioned before, it's better to use biodegradable materials. Disadvantage of liposome is slightly sterically unstable, and it's unstable because of its thermal properties. We will discuss this, and it leads to drug leakage. So here, drug retention is affected by lipid structure. The lipid structure as the assigned chain length, and which increases the transition temperature, increases, and therefore a better retention for the drug inside the liposomes. And the presence of unsaturated bonds may lead to decrease in the transition temperature, and this will lead to drug leakage from liposomes. Also, if we increase the cholesterol content of the liposomes, that will improve the drug retention up to 50%, by up to 50%. We want now to have an overview about nanoemulsions and solid lipid nanoparticles. So nanoemulsions, here we formulate our nanoemulsions to contain oil, and this layer of surfactant holding this oil nanoparticles together. So this is lipid nanoemulsion, maybe an oil and water nanoemulsion, or solid lipid nanoparticles, where we use a lipid that will, after cooling, after hot homogenization pressure and after cooling, we will have solid matrix that control the drug more. Dendrimers. So dendrimers here are polymers, chain polymers that we start with core, and this core we have moieties that are activated. And when it is activated, we have another coupling molecule that we want to react it with, and this is not activated. This purple color means that it's not activated. We have to protect it from activation to avoid over reaction, and to ensure that our reaction is controlled as we want. We want a specific amount of reactions to give a specific amount of product, so we don't risk activating this. We have to protect this. So after the first generation, there is an activation, deprotection and activation process, and then another coupling, and the series go on and on and on until we have maybe 4 generations. The advantage of the dendrimer is that it is stable and it's monodispersed. Its monodispersity is a very good advantage for using dendrimers. Another example is the polymeric micelles. The polymeric micelles may be formed by maybe amphiphilic block copolymers we use here. This amphiphilic block copolymer can self-assembly above the CMC of the polymer into polymeric micelle, and it has a high loading capacity, which is very good to retain hydrophobic drugs, for example. And here the hydrophobic drug is encapsulated. In this figure is encapsulated in the core of the polymer. Maybe the hydrophilic block may be a PEG block, and the hydrophobic block may be a polyaspartate or polylactide. Those are hydrophobic blocks that may be used in a polymeric micelle. Polymeric conjugates. We got a polymer here, and this polymer we can conjugate with a chemical reaction. This is a linker, and this is the drug molecule. Can be attached to the skeleton of the polymer, and therefore achieve targeting. This is a very good modality to use. For example, the oncospar here with the PEG molecule, the linker is an amide bond, and here the drug is asparaginase used to treat acute lymphocytic leukemia, for example. Protein as drug carriers. So proteins are, for example, the albumin, the wheat proteins, or the lactoferrin. It can be used to formulate nanocarriers. One method to use this is the desolvation by using a desolvating agent like alcohol, acetone. We therefore desolvate this protein and allow its aggregation. Then we add a cross-linking agent, for example, glutaraldehyde, to harden this albumin nanoparticles and prevent its dissociation again. And here this albumin nanoparticles is already for our use. But proteins are difficult to formulate due to the various conditions of heat. It's heat sensitive, pH sensitive, shear, stress sensitive, light and freezing. So this will compromise the stability of our proteins. So it's very hard to formulate proteins. Nanocrystals. Nanocrystals are these nanocrystals we mentioned before and earlier in the presentation. So nanocrystals are pure drug crystals that is formulated by a bottom-up technique. A bottom-up technique like nanoprecipitation, where it's from its name, it's bottom-up. So from the smaller molecular range to a higher molecular range, like to a higher range from the angstrom or maybe the molecular state to the crystal state. So it's a bottom-up technique. This is like nanoprecipitation. You're precipitating your drug, aggregating the crystals of the drug around each other, forming a nanocrystal, or the top-down technique, as we see here. It's this is the high-pressure homogenization, where you get large particles here. This is large particles of the drug, and this is a piston. This piston will increase the shear forces on a homogenization gap, and then you will get your product of the nanocrystals from a large surface into smaller ones, the drug nanocrystals. Characterization techniques. Now we want to make sure that our nanoparticle is stable and everything is going fine in our formulation. We can do this by measuring the particle size, as we want to ensure that our size is in the nano range. So we can do this by namely dynamic light scattering or multibeam zetasizer, for example, or measuring the surface charge or the zeta potential. Particle morphology, which can be measured, or we can use an electron microscope to see this nano-sized particles. The morphology is circular, maybe a longitudinal. Encapsulation efficiency, for example, encapsulation efficiency is the amount of drug encapsulated in the nanoparticles, and the loading capacity. It's the amount of the drug, of your drug, to the rest of the formulation, or the rest to the polymer. So these can be measured by an HPLC, or high pressure liquid chromatography, which can analyze the drug and give us an insightful overview of what is inside our formulation. And in vitro drug release test to ensure that we have a controlled and release of the drug, and in vitro and in vivo tests on animals, of course. So where's the future? The future is in exosomes. It's my point of view that exosomes are these vesicles that is released into the body, and it contains all the information you can find in a cell. The RNA, maybe the enzymes, the proteins, everything you may find in a cell. It's a small cell that is shuttled to communicate between cells. And the approaches now are trying to discover how they can use exosomes to diagnose cancer or diagnose cancers without you can say an invasive technique or grabbing a tissue from the patient. So exosomes can be used because we know the information that is carrying from the cell that is shuttled from. So when we collect this from a biological fluid like saliva, blood, or urine sample, we can by default know where it's coming from and where the defect is. So the properties of exosomes is that from 30 to 150 nanometers, so it's like we can say it's nanoparticles, and it has all the information in the cell. However, the exosomes were so difficult to obtain because of its small small yield. It's not abundant in the biological fluid. So after really a long series of purification process, we can't obtain the yield we are expecting from exosomes. So they tried to mimic the liposome through to mimic the exosomes by a formulation of liposomes, which has a lipid composition that is very similar to the exosomes. One way achieved by this paper is a comparison between an exosome mimicking liposomes with the lipid composition they studied from exosomes and conventional liposomes for intracellular delivery of small interfering RNA. And this is small interfering RNA is really used in gene therapy. And exosome mimicking liposomes were found to be really good stability, and it has a much favorable characteristics than conventional liposomes. But however, the loading for these small interfering RNA was a lot lower than the conventional cationic liposomes, because of the repulsion between the exosomes and the exosomes material, and the negative charge between the exosomes material and the negative charge of the small interfering RNA compared to the cationic liposomes, which were really good, taking a good hold of the small interfering RNA inside it, owing to the positively charged properties. So thank you. This is a very short, or you can say like fair, what's it called? Like overview of how we think about nanotechnology. Thank you. So for questions now.
Baik, itu materi yang telah disampaikan
Sure.
Kak Islam.
I can't hear you, Tom, so give me just.
Materi yang disampaikan oleh Kak Islam tadi sangat menarik terkait penggunaan nanopartikel dan bagaimana nanopartikel itu dapat berbagai macam formulasi dan berbagai macam strategi yang bisa digunakan untuk pengiriman obat melalui satu bidang ilmu ini saja. Nah, kita punya beberapa pertanyaan ini dari
I have to check. Okay. We have several questions from Nisha from University, as well as Rima. Yeah.
Kita ada beberapa pertanyaan dari Kak Nesha dari Universitas Pancasila dan Kak Rahmat dari Universitas Sumatera Utara. Dan pertanyaannya adalah berikut.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. Okay, from Nisha, if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Okay, wait. Okay.
Akan saya bacakan. Pada pertanyaan dari Nesha adalah pertama, apakah aplikasi nanoteknologi dalam sediaan farmasi dapat menimbulkan alergi pada penggunanya? 2. Pada kondisi seperti apakah sediaan farmasi berbasis nanoteknologi dapat beracun bagi penggunanya? Dan yang ketiga, apakah tantangan yang dihadapi farmasis kini dalam aplikasi nanoteknologi sediaan farmasi? Sedangkan pertanyaan Kak Rahmat dari Universitas Sumatera Utara adalah, saya memiliki suatu ekstrak tumbuhan tersebut ingin saya terapkan di nanoteknologi. Metode apa yang bisa saya gunakan? Jika ekstrak tumbuhan saya memiliki senyawa polar dan non-polar, tapi saya ingin memisahkan senyawa polar dan non-polar karena yang saya inginkan adalah senyawa polar, apakah nanoteknologi dapat membantu pemisahan tersebut?
So, first from Nisha, the question says, can the application of nanotechnology in pharmaceutical preparations cause allergies to users? Yes, it can, because as we said before, the PEG, for example, about 25% of your patients will suffer from allergies because of an anti-PEG antibodies that are coming in response to the PEG material. So this can cause allergies to the patients, and this can compromise their health and put them in danger of fatal reactions. So if this answering your question. So yeah, nanopharmaceuticals can cause some allergies, and we have to act to this. Like we have to choose the suitable formulation. We can run allergy tests before we give a certain formulation over the other, and yeah, it is like it's a problem that can be solved, but we have to take care of this. And yeah, for your question, yeah, it can cause some allergies to users. The second question, in what condition can nanotechnology-based pharmaceutical preparation be toxic to users? In what conditions can nanotechnology-based pharmaceutical preparations? Okay, so this is a relative question that we can answer to the answer to this, in my point of view, is it's based on the materials that causing the toxicity. It can be severe toxicity or it's not severe toxicity. However, we are not compromising the health of our patients here, so we have to formulate really safe materials that we ensure its safety by phase 1 clinical trial, and we should make sure that make sure that our formulation is not toxic to users. So in what conditions? Maybe the materials used, for example, glutaraldehyde is very toxic. Maybe sometimes we use universal solvent like dimethyl sulfoxide, which is called DIMSO. It's really there is some debate that it is toxic to the liver, it's hepatotoxic. So we're ensuring the safety profile of our formulation before administering it to patients. So what are the challenges? The third question, what are the challenges facing pharmacists now in the application of pharmaceutical preparations for nanotechnology? So yeah, the challenges. So the challenges mainly to stability. Maybe one point of the challenges facing the pharmacist now is the stability of the nanoparticles and the shelf life, because nanoparticles are not stable, are not very stable, because like when you downsize your materials to nanosize, this will compromise the stability. This like aggregation, and the potential is going to be that you're going to suffer a drop in the potential, in the surface charge, and your particles will start to aggregate, and this will be unacceptable to inject in a patient's vein, for example. So this is really a challenge to the stability of the nanoparticles, maybe. And yeah. It's mainly nanotechnology is mainly used to formulate. It's coming out to formulate materials to formulate drugs which are hydrophobic. So this is also a challenge to use the correct formulation for your drug, because sometimes your drug cannot be maybe we can't formulate nanocrystals from a drug which can be loaded on a liposome. So it's a lot of factors to consider here. That answering the question. So from Ramat, am I pronouncing this correctly too? From North Sumatra University? Yeah. So I have a plant extract which I want to apply to extract nanotechnology. What method can you use? I have a plant extract which I want to apply to extract nanotechnology. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. I have a plant extract which I want to apply to extract nanotechnology. What method can you use? extract which I want to. I have difficulty understanding this. Extract which I want to apply to extract nanotechnology. Plant extract which he wants to formulate further with nanotechnological principles. Okay. What method we can use so that it can help the drug delivery? What steps would he take? So I don't know what is the plant extract that he is using specifically, and I don't like the physical property. He has to study the physical chemical properties of his drug in choice or his plant extract in choice, because it's the physical chemical properties is the governing factor here to the choice of the nanomaterial suitable for his formulation. Like maybe some drugs that are hydrophobic, as I said, cannot be formulated as nanocrystals because it will be not stable. It will not be stable. So you will choose like a lipoid formulation, for example, like liposomes. But a plant extract which we want to formulate here, I don't know specifically what he's talking about. So he has to study the physical chemical properties of his material or his drug. He has to read about this from review articles, from published research papers online, and study the physical chemical properties first for his extract. Then he can like read about the systems he can apply to this extract, and this will help him a lot in the choice of the suitable nanomaterial or the nanocarriers that he may use to deliver his extract or his drug. I think if this answering his question. The last sentence. Yeah, he has to study the physical chemical properties for his extract or for his drug in choice, and this can be done by studying review articles and research papers that states facts about his drug or his plant extract, and then he can read about the nanomaterials or various nanosystems that he can use and apply to his extract to formulate it into nanocarriers, maybe like liposomes if it's lipid soluble. Maybe he can try to formulate into nanocrystals. Maybe if it's drug crystals that he has, if it's pure drug, maybe he can use nanocrystals to formulate his drug. Maybe he uses proteins to load his drug on them. But this will require a very thorough literature review, and I can't specifically answer what he can use in his nanoformulation because I don't know the plant extract that he's using. So may I proceed to the second question? If my plant extract has polar and non-polar compounds, if my plant extract has a polar and non-polar compounds, but I want to separate polar and non-polar compounds because what I want is polar compounds. Can nanotechnology separate them? So a plant extract has multiple compounds. I don't think that this is so this is concerning the first question, right? So, because a plant has multiple compounds. This reply is for the first question, right? because the plant extract has multiple components. This is different. I don't understand. These are two separate questions. Yeah. So the second, yeah, I got it. Okay. The second question: if my plant extract has polar and nonpolar compounds, but I want to separate the polar and the nonpolar compounds because what I want is the polar one, can nanotechnology separate them? I don't think that this will be the best way to separate your compounds. To separate your compounds, you may need analytical techniques and concerning a plant extract, you have to study the chemical properties of your extracts and every single component, and you have to extract them based on their chemistry. Like, for example, some of them may dissolve, like the polar compounds will dissolve in water, the nonpolar compounds will dissolve or partition in maybe hydrophobic, or maybe what's it called? We can say solvents, like hydrophobic solvents, for example. Like maybe you have to separate them based on the chemistry, not using nanotechnology in that. The question is, how can nanotechnology separate them? If you want like an answer for this question, it is that you have to separate them based on chemistry. And nanotechnology that can, I don't think that nanotechnology can help in separating materials. I don't think so. Maybe in the purification of some materials, like we talked about exosomes, for example. So exosomes can be separated by a thing called differential centrifugation. And basically you can decorate your exosomes with materials, maybe magnetic materials or materials that really has a magnetic properties, and then you have this antibodies attached to your exosomes, and then you can separate this by maybe a magnetic field or stuff like that, so you can recover the exosomes and leave the other things. So this is not nanotechnology, but you're separating your nanocarriers or your exosomes in choice. Separation and purification techniques cannot use nanotechnology, because if you have nanotechnology, or what we're dealing with today is drug delivery, so you can't use one of these maybe materials to separate, like liposomes or lipid nanoparticles, to separate drugs. No, I don't think, because maybe the recovery will be that hard, so you have to so my advice is you have to read more about your extract, about the components in the extracts, and you have to know the chemistry of each component. It can be separated based on their chemistry through organic solvents, and a combination between organic solvents and a hydrophilic solvent like water. It can be separated by chromatography. They can be separated based on temperature, and maybe you can recover one at a higher point than the other in temperature. If this answering your question. Do we have more questions? What is the mechanism liposome have to control the release rate of an API within? So by Rizka. So yeah, so what is the mechanism liposomes have to control the release rate of an API within? Yeah, okay, so if this active pharmaceutical ingredient is hydrophobic, the release may be based on the retention of the liposomes. If the liposomes, for example, has a high content of cholesterol or a high content of lipids and unsaturated side chains, as we mentioned before, or if it has saturated acyl chains, so that will retain your hydrophobic drug, and this will slow the release of the drug. If it has like we can say higher cholesterol content, this will also increase the transition temperature and will slow the release of the drug. If it was a hydrophobic drug, if it's a hydrophilic drug, the release is controlled by several other factors. Or translation stake. So I'm repeating the answer again. So what is the mechanism liposomes have to control the release of an API within? So it's based on the API itself. It's based on the API itself and the formulation and if the liposome is containing high cholesterol content or high maybe saturated acyl chains. This will decrease the transition temperature, for example. This will increase the transition temperature and therefore will retain the hydrophobic drug more if we're dealing with a hydrophobic drug. If you're dealing with a hydrophilic drug, this hydrophilic drug will be entrapped inside the liposomes maybe, so this will be this will have a more controlled and more slow release, and if it's decorated or conjugated to the surface of the liposome, this will be faster, for example, because it's in contact with the physiological solution, maybe the circulation, so it will have a faster release. Dendrimers is one of nanocarriers and can be prepared by both convergent and divergent approaches. Sir, how to determine which is suitable for targeted cancer drug? Thank you. It's based on the morphology of the cancer drugs. So this is a very specific question about dendrimers. It can be formulated by divergent and convergent, but this is very advanced. I didn't want to talk about this, but we can say that generally speaking, it's based upon the structure we want to achieve with the dendrimer, because dendrimers have the ability to functionalize your drug to the outside modalities or the outside moieties by conjugation maybe, or you can encapsulate your drug inside the cores that is in the dendrimer itself. So what you really want to achieve with your drug will affect the morphology or the character of the dendrimer you want to achieve. And therefore, it's based on your drug. You have to study your drug. And this is why there's a paper published talking about the importance of combining pharmacology and physiology for drug delivery. Because you want to achieve delivery based on the physicochemical the pharmacology. You want to achieve delivery based on the pharmacology of the drug you have. Because this drug is used for the treatment, for example, of brain tumor. So if you want to achieve brain targeting, you have to get into the blood-brain barrier with a simple equation. You have to get into the blood-brain barrier and avoid this tight junctions, and therefore you have to formulate or have your formulation based on your drug or the purpose. So the purpose here, if you want to target, to use to formulate dendrimers, to target, to encapsulate a drug or have a drug inside that will be released for a certain purpose. You have to study this purpose, and you have to study your drug, and therefore you can determine where you want to put your drug, where the drug will be in. So, and therefore you can choose the appropriate way to formulate your dendrimers. If this answering your question, and this question by Rara from University of Indonesia. I hope this answers your question. So is that it? Yeah, it's based on the API itself. It's based on the API. I mean that we have to look for the properties, the physical-chemical properties of our API, and therefore it's the way we can formulate our dendrimers, because on one type we can use several solvents, several reactions, and several mechanisms to grow the dendrimer, and this will affect the hydrophobic core. This will affect the functional groups that we can use to conjugate our drug or conjugate our polymer. So you have to study what you want first, because of course not everything is applicable. Because I will give you an example for this. If you just if you want to formulate a protein nanocarrier or a liposome, you will find yourself having a particle size maybe of 500 nanometer and a polydispersity index that is about 0.5, and you don't want this. You want to achieve a smaller particle size and a smaller polydispersity index. So this will be achieved mainly by fine tuning. So you have to fine-tune your factors of formulation, maybe adding more of the drug concentration, maybe decreasing the lipid concentration or cholesterol concentration. In case of liposomes or in case of protein, maybe you will manipulate your protein drug concentration. Maybe you're using a different denaturating agent, a different solvent, maybe for your drug, maybe a concentration of the drug that's feeding into your formulation. Those are really very broad and very wide range of factors that that you have to consider. So you can't have a specific answer to if it is suitable for all APIs. Of course, it's not. Every single
So once we get to the specifics, we know that this is quite already eye-opening, quite an introductory build-up of materials from Islam here to present us about what is nanotechnology and how can we apply it on pharmacy. Yeah. Jadi kelihatannya pertanyaannya sudah menjurus ke beberapa daerah yang spesifik. Jadi sudah bisa dibilang cukup pun sebagai materi pengenalan, sebagai materi introduction pada malam ini ya. Awalnya Kak Islam juga akan berjanji pada saya tadi akan menyelesaikan materi dia dalam waktu 45 menit, dan saking besarnya materi ini teman-teman dalam waktu 60 menit pun atau sampai lewat sesi tanya jawab pun masih belum kelar juga. Jadi bisa kita berikan tepuk tangannya di melewati rumah masing-masing atau lewat chat untuk Karam untuk Kak
This is already quite
Islam.
introductory and quite an eye opener to the students. Okay, so
Mungkin Kak Islam bisa memberikan beberapa kata-kata penutup dan pesan bagi adik-adik yang ingin mempelajari nanoteknologi, aplikasi nanoteknologi untuk farmasi. Maybe you can give some closing words and give several suggestions to students who wish to pursue this field, whether in the industrial applications. Maybe you can give some closing words regarding the topic and give several suggestions to students who wish to pursue this field, whether in the industrial or clinical applications of it.
okay, so so as a closing words, we can say that nanotechnology is a very emerging approach that is really promising in my point of view. And nanomedicine is basically you have a wide range of application and wide range of materials that you can use and wide range of nanocarriers and formulations that you can prepare yourself and find its way to the market, and this will be great because it's all in favor of the patient. You want to serve the patient either if you are an industrial pharmacist, you're working on R&D, working in an R&D lab, you want your formulation to come to the light. This will be from one to 100 or from A to Z is in the favor of the patient. So you have to bear this in mind while you're doing all this stuff. It's for the sake of patients. For example, if your formulation is you're working on a formulation for cancer treatment is for cancer patients. You want to achieve a better quality of life for cancer patients. You want to achieve this because it's treating patients and it's helping them and it's decreasing their suffering. So you have to bear this in mind while you are working. Nanomedicine is really emerging, really promising. It has a lot of application, has a lot of modalities that you can use to formulate your preparation or your formulation. And it's really rewarding because you will get to know a lot of things when you decrease the size of a material from the, as we mentioned before, from the real large scale to the small scale. You will learn a lot from this, and it's really a rewarding experience to be a researcher in this field. And how to pursue the field, how you can to pursue this field, whether in industrial or clinical application. You can find the maybe the companies or the industrial plants that has maybe a lab, or an R&D lab, or maybe a hospital that is funding this type of research, and you can apply for it. It's really competitive. Nothing is easy, but you have to work hard for your goals, maybe. So you can find a lab, find hospital that is funding this type of research, and I think this field is growing and it's grabbing a lot of attention, so it's the funds will be really good. So you have to search yourself for the opportunities in your region that is helping you. Okay, thank you very much. See you later. No problem. problem. It's not a huge delay. It's okay. We are good together. Okay. Thank you very much.
So yeah, thank you Islam. Thank you. Very sorry for the huge delay. Speaker certificates will be given later, and then all right, we can end it there. I'll just give some closing words. Baik teman-teman, itu akhir dari acara kita di ISMAFARSI Talks edisi Juli 2019 ini. Untuk memberikan semacam rangkuman, terima kasih sudah mengikuti acara kita malam ini, membahas tentang bagaimana saja peran farmasis sebagai profesional kesehatan dan sebagai researcher, bagaimana kita bisa berkontribusi di kalangan mahasiswa farmasi melewat dunia akademik, baik sebagai penulis ataupun sebagai peneliti langsung di lab. Untuk video ini akan dipajang dan ditaruh di akun resmi Student Prescription, dan sertifikat peserta serta sertifikat pembicara akan diberikan pada waktu yang mendekat. Terima kasih telah mengikuti dan tolong ditunggu untuk webinar berikutnya pada Oktober atau November 2019 ini. Terima kasih.